How's everybody doing today? Welcome to another episode of Comics and Sweet Tea. So excited to be back with you guys. Hope you've been enjoying the shows. I know I have been talking with all these fine folks. Yeah, welcome back. I'm really excited for the interview today. Got an artist and creator in here that I've been admiring for quite a while. We finally touched bases and yeah, got him on. But before we get into that, I want you guys to subscribe if you haven't already. Tell your friends. We're trying to grow this thing out. Hit the likes. Those are really important. You know how algorithms are, they suck. And you guys can help me out by just hitting a thumbs up. Or hell, if you hate the show, give me a thumbs down. I would prefer this, but you can't always get what you want. Life sucks that way. But anyway, um, hit the notifications so whenever we go live, you'll be the first to know and you can join in the chat. Um, just really proud to be here again with you guys and bring you another episode. We have John Burgin, the creator of Frogboy. He's going to tell us all about it. So, without any further ado, the man, the myth, the legend. I got him coming at you right now.
Hey,
There he is.
hey,
How you
Jerry.
doing
Thanks for
today,
that, man.
John? How you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. Doing very well. It's a great Sunday here.
Yeah.
After the holiday, so it's a great Sunday. Tomorrow we'll see when we start back Monday, but so far so good today.
I hear you. Did you eat too much turkey and dressing, man? Did you
Well, we didn't do any turkey this year.
really?
We did a non-traditional kind of thing. So I
Okay.
made some meatloaf. My brother made a pork shoulder.
Oh yeah, that
I made
sounds
something
good
called
too.
chicken pastry, which it might just be a North Carolina thing, but it's like chicken and dumplings, but the dumplings are just long noodles. And so,
It sounds good.
yeah, it's
Sounds
pretty
really
good.
good. I tell you, North Carolina, like we were talking about before the show, God's country, man. God's country. Y'all got some beautiful land up there, beautiful scenery. I might have to come up there and check it out again. It's been too long since I've been up that way.
Well, man, if you get up this way, especially if you're in the mountains, yeah, hit me up. Or if you come all the way to Charlotte, come on in, man. But the mountains aren't far from here. Charlotte's on the mountainside
Right,
of North Carolina. Getting to the coast is it's not too far, but the mountains are really close.
right. That's awesome. Well, let's jump right into it. Tell me about Frog Boy. What kind of brought on? Walk me through the birth of Frog Boy.
All right. Well, I was an art student. I studied art in college. Wasn't going to. My parents wanted me to do something else. So I was a forestry service. I was going into the forestry service to be a park ranger, but drawing was just a passion. So I was actually in school in the mountains studying art. Um, was doing fairly well, but I always was into more cartooning than painting and drawing. But I did do a lot of painting and drawing too. I got uh, involved with this girl that I met. I transferred schools and got married and started a family really young. And I just kind of dropped all art and needed to support a family. And once my oldest son was about 2 or 3, he started getting really into Batman, and we read all the Batman Beyond books. We had all the little books, so he wanted to read those every night, and he was so excited about it. So I thought, well, what a good time to maybe make our own story. So
Yeah,
I said, what if you were your own superhero? Um, so I started to say, well, uh, you could be Frogboy, because at the time I was pretty involved with some social work, kind of ministerial social work in the inner city of Charlotte. And a friend of mine was doing these. We'd go on Saturday morning and we'd pick up all these kids from inner city homes and bring them back and have this big Saturday party, where we would, kind of touch base with where they were in their lives, try to get them into the idea that there was something better, that the life that they were living, that there were people that loved them, there were people that cared for them, that they could do whatever they wanted to do, they could be whatever they wanted to be, no matter what kind of negativity they had heard in their life, they could turn it around. And so we were into that. He had gone down to South Africa, and they would take shoes to kids in South Africa. And there was a center down in South Africa called the Frog Center. And he said, you need to come down to South Africa and paint Frogboy on the side of the Frog Center, because I had already started drawing this character. And in Charlotte, I was painting him on walls. It was graffiti art style stuff. And so I said, well, heck, we'll just call him Frogboy. And then Will, my son, he was, I'm going all over the place with this, but I said, well, you
man, I'm loving it.
Frogboy. It's you. You're the alter ego of this young kid who's fighting social injustice and fighting evil. And that's kind of how it started. It was a street art campaign. I had no idea where the storyline would go. I had started drawing what this character might look like, and I picked up sketchbooks again, and I draw, and it took years to kind of morph into the design that he became. But first he had like big webby hands and web feet and stuff, and people were like, was he a frog? I was like, no, he's just a boy in a frog costume. And then it just turned out to be this kid in a mask that was burned in a fire in an orphanage, and he just got the nickname Frogboy because his skin, when he's not wearing the mask, is all messed up and burned.
Yeah. Wow, man, that's an incredible story. That really is. I'm telling you, you were talking about, you had your dreams and everything, and you got married and you dropped your art. I can relate. Believe me, I've been sitting on my books since high school, and then here I am, middle-aged man, and of all people, my daughter talked me into doing mine and coming back into it. I never really put it down. It was always in the back of my mind, and I would always, even through all the years, supporting them and working and everything. Whenever I'd get a little time, I'd sit down and just draw. That's when I found, the most peace. I could have a whole lot going on in the background or going on in life, and whenever I sit down to that tablet, it's like it just all just cleared up.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: if you ever, if you were to turn Frog Boy into, say, a cartoon or a movie or a series, what type of medium would you like to see Frog Boy move into past the comics?
Oh man, past the comics, I would really love to see. I'd love to see kind of almost a manga style animated series.
That would be really cool. Yeah.
I would love to see it turn into almost like a speed race, like go back to
Yeah.
the way that, and I think some of the manga animation style with Akira and Ghost in the Shell, it's all, it's all these, the way that the animation is choppy, it's not so smooth, it's just very raw. I would love to see something like that. For whatever reason, I think that the way that the dark raininess is all fun, but and maybe add to the idea that he's in this situation, kind of fighting evil, fighting social injustice, But I would love to see that. I wouldn't mind seeing kind of like a live action deal too, like where he's just this punk kid in the junkyard with a few little friends, kind of fighting whatever's going on in the mountains, you know.
Right. And I tell you, I mean, I could see something like that. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it. Did you see the adaptation? They did a Sweet Tooth on Netflix. They did a really good job on that.
I did not
But
see that. I'll have to check that out.
yeah, let's see. I think it's 2 seasons now. Now, season two kind of wandered off the path a little bit, but season one was really good. It was really well done and stayed pretty close to the source material.
Uh,
And I
well, I'll
love,
check it out. Sweet Tooth.
yeah, it's on Netflix. Just give it a watch if you ever get time. I don't know if you read the book, but it really captured it in that first season. They really did it justice.
All right.
And what was really cool, what kind of drew me into it, I mean, you look at the cover and you're thinking it's going to be one thing, and then when you actually start reading the story, there's really so much more to it. Just like Frogboy, you know, you see the cool skater kid, he's got the frog helmet, and then you tell me all this, and that just blew my mind. I mean, it's just incredible how deep this story of yours actually is. You know, and
That's
I
the hard
think
part.
there, there's not enough of those kind of books out there nowadays. I mean, the major companies they've kind of stepped away from that type of thing. All they're worried about. Well, they're not even worried about the books anymore. To be honest, they're just worried about making movies. It's like they just let the books go and just
Yeah,
put
yeah.
whoever in charge and say, "Hey, try and sell a few, whatever you want to do."
Well, yeah. I mean, you do kind of see that uh, with all the different, the Spider Verse and a lot of the what ifs and the crossovers. I know they're just trying to keep their audience engaged. Because how many more adventures can Spider-Man have? I mean, there's just what else how can he continue to have new things? He's just done everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're in our what third version of it. I mean, we
Yeah.
had the Tobey Maguire, we had the Andrew Garfield. Now we've got the oh God,
Tom
I'm
Holland.
drawing, huh?
Tom Holland.
Yeah, Tom Holland doing it now. Which I'll be honest with you, I think that kid is pretty much personified Peter Parker and Spider Man. I think he fits it perfect.
I agree.
Toby, I mean, he did an excellent job. Don't get me wrong. I liked his Peter Parker. He didn't really capture Spider Man. Andrew Garfield captured Spider Man and didn't really capture Peter Parker. And Tom's like the perfect marriage of both. He fit both of them,
Yeah.
Let's see. What got you into comics? What kind of tell me that story?
Yeah. Well, that's pretty interesting because I wasn't into comics. I love the art of comics growing up, but I didn't read a lot of like hero comics.
Right.
Um, my uncle had a ton of long boxes of comics in his attic, and some days when I was a kid, I'd go over and spend the night uh, in the. I'd spend the night with my grandmother, and they would, my two uncles wouldn't always be home, so I'd rifle through the long boxes and just look at the art. But I was really into the Mad magazines. When I would find a Mad or a Cracked or even like the art of Archie comics, I just kind of got into that and the Sunday kind of funnies. I was always a big fan of the Peanuts, and I just thought it was fascinating how every day there was a new joke. Every day there was something else to read, and how did they come up with it? But the art of Mad Magazine just drew me. You know, a lot of times I wouldn't even read through an entire, an entire spoof. I just would look at the drawings and the inks and the line making, and I was just blown away by, you know, what Jack Davis could do, what Mort Drucker could do, what Sergio Aragonés was doing.
Right.
Sam Viviano was one of my favorites back in the day, and I did get more into an illustrative mindset when I was kind of getting towards graduating from college, and so I was doing more painting and I was doing more drawing, and I wasn't leaning towards the comics. And then I kind of was really into like street art and graffiti too. And I think as my kids got older and I started really thinking about, well, I've got this character and people seem to be relating to this guy, even when there's no story. I thought, well, maybe there should be some sort of story. Maybe there's some background here. Then I had a couple of friends that grew up here in Charlotte, where I am, that started hitting it pretty big in comics. And I would go to the Heroes Con and just walk around and go to see them and talk to them at their tables. And I thought, well, heck, man, maybe there's an avenue. Maybe there's an avenue for Frogboy. And so I started trying to pencil out a story, and maybe what else can there be? What who are these sidekicks? So I started getting into comics kind of late. I think I was like 35 years old, and I started trying to really study how does sequential art work? How can I tell a story in pictures? And that's kind of how that all kind of came about. A guy that I drew caricatures at an amusement park, and we hired a young kid named Jason, and he was great. And then after a while, I mean, he's several years younger than me. We kind of lost touch, and then all of a sudden, he was the hottest thing in comics. And I was going to see him at these shows, and so I would talk to him from time to time when he had a second. But he was doing some really cool stuff, and so I was kind of energized, and then as I started building it, I think what really helped was I started the Instagram, and then people were like, hey, they were drawing the character and sending it to me from all over the world, and I was like, wow, maybe there's something here. I need to do this. And then Jim Rugg started following along, and I would see him at the shows, and I was like, wow, man, I really need to get a story. And he would say, because you got to write a book. You got to have a book. So I started writing a book, and then it was a silly little book about getting a taco or trying to find a taco. And then I made the second one about the roller derby, and they really I was just trying to put something out there, but I haven't touched on the backstory or the origin yet, but that's what's coming next.
Gotcha. What would you say is your biggest challenge working on the book? I know you love the art, but
Well, there's a couple of things. I mean, the idea that I still have. I'm a single dad now. I have a 12-year-old son, and I have a day job. So I have, tomorrow I'll get up early. I'll get my kid ready for school. He'll catch the bus, and then I'll go to my job and I work. So I, work 8-9 hours a day, and sometimes during that day, I'll have time to sketch out some ideas or start to draw a little bit. But when it's busy at work, I just don't have that much time. And then by the time I get home, it's there's some exhaustion. So just finding the time to devote to the material, to write it down, to draw it out. That's probably the biggest challenge, as well as, is the story any good? As I have a great idea. I think this origin story is fantastic. I think it'll be the best thing I've ever done. And as I write it, and I've done this several times, I've started like 3 or 4 different books and get 3/4 of the way through it and just scrap it and go, that sucks. It's terrible. So that the whole kind of beating yourself up over is any good or not is also a challenge. I think the art is good, but what is this? Does the story make any sense? And those are maybe the two: the time and are you a good storyteller? The talking to yourself or getting in your own head. That's
No,
hardcore.
it really is. That was the one thing that intimidated me the most was just I had the story, I had the plot, but the dialogue, writing the dialogue, that was my biggest challenge when I first got into doing my book, and that's my daughter. That was one of our deals. She said, "You do it." She said, "I'll help you write it." And I mean, I can't brag on her enough. Just, I mean, even though, well, she's not little anymore. She's 26 years old. She's got a little girl too. So I've got a granddaughter, but you know, when your little girl jumps in there to help you out, she's a tremendous writer. She
Oh
really is.
wow.
And she's helped me so much with this book. Now she's just my editor. She's kind of stepped off and let me have it after she kind of helped me through the first few issues. And she said, "Dad, I wrote the last one by myself." And of course, I let her proofread it. And she just stepped in as my editor. And I was scared to death. I'm not gonna lie to you, John. I was scared to death. She said, "You got this." She said, "Trust me, you got it." And then she read the story. If she doesn't pass off on it, it doesn't get done. I'm that's just the way it is. But yeah, I can totally relate to that. That's it's a tough thing. I mean, and you were talking about doing a day job. I work offshore. I work on a drilling rig. I'm gone 21 days at a time, and then I come home for 21 days. That's the one good thing about it. But it takes me a week to get my feet back under me when I get home. I don't want
Right.
to do anything. So but I do have that 2 weeks where I can jump back and work on the book. But I mean, you have to find that's another thing, that balance between life, your family, and the book. That's a hard thing to do. And
Yeah.
I struggled with that for quite a while. And sometimes I still struggle with it. I mean, because my family, that's the most important thing in the world to me, hands down. That's why I do everything that I do. And, it's tough. You feel guilty if you spend too much time on it. You feel like you're taking time away from your family. So, yeah, that balance, that's
Right.
tough. It really is.
Well, sounds like we have that in common then.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we do. And I tell you, I'm looking into Heroes Con this next year. So I'd love to see you there, man. You get a
Well, I'm
booth,
always
and
there,
I'll
man.
get
So
a
if you
booth beside you, man.
keep me posted because I can,
We'll do.
it's Heroes Con can be tough. I mean, just like any big show, because you want to be in a good spot. But
Right.
you just keep me posted, and we'll if you decide you're gonna pull the trigger, I can probably help you get into more like the indie island side and not up against the back wall.
Shoot, yeah, I'll sure do it, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, the guys there. I mean, that's another. I mean, the Hero store, the Shelton and Seth and Carla. I mean, they just been. I mean, and everybody there. I mean, before when it was Rico was running it, they, they've been incredibly good to me, and and through that show, I've met so many fantastic people, and it kind of keeps you going. It's like just I do it every year, so I always think, well, I need to have something ready for this show,
Right.
and because it's going to be 3 of the best days of my life, whether I sell anything or not. But I need to keep something going, so there's a reason for me to even be there.
Right. Right. Yeah, I'm actually doing my first con in January. I got a table at Fan Expo in New Orleans.
All right.
So I'm jumping out there, man. This will be my first time on the other side of the aisle. So
Dude,
I'm
that'd be great.
excited about it.
Well, I'm happy for you, man. That's you got to get into it. That's I tell young artists all the time. Yeah, well, and people come by, you know, and they want to show you their work, and
Right.
sometimes it's, you know, they got a lot. They've got a
Yeah.
long way to go first before they can jump into it. But some people are just right there, and what they need is, you know, they need to go ahead and just jump in with both feet. And I know sometimes it costs a few bucks to make those shows happen, especially if you're traveling. But
Right.
if you have a good show locally, and this is what you want to do, that's being a part of those shows is it's imperative. You can't not do it.
Right. Mainly, getting out there and just connecting, making that connection with folks. Them, I know when I was a kid, that was my big dream. Hey, I wanted to meet Jim Lee or Todd McFarlane or Will Pertasio or Rob Liefeld, whoever, the big artist was at the time, you know, being a little podunk town nowhere from Mississippi, that was, it seemed impossible,
Yeah.
but now I've gotten out and I've got to meet some of these guys, through the years. It's at different cons and stuff. And I've talked to several people that have had a few bad experiences. Luckily, I haven't. I've had all good experiences with creators I've met. They've always been super gracious with their time. I got to see one of the. I got to see Tim Sale probably at one of his last shows before he passed,
Uh,
and he was already. You could tell his health, was going down, and he was a little grouchy. It was the first day of the con, and I hit him first thing that morning because I've always loved his work. And my son has always loved his work, and we got up there, and he's kind of crotchety. He's kind of, trying to be quick with us. And I just happen to remember that show Heroes that come out a few years ago on NBC, that he did all the artwork for that. And I brought it up. I said, "Do you have any of your art from Heroes?" And it's like he was a kid again. You just seen his eyes just light up, and he had the biggest smile. Yeah, yeah, hold on, man. It's like he become a totally different person. And my son wound up having such a wonderful experience with him. We got to see some of his original art from the show, and I got to learn some things about him I didn't know. I didn't know the man was colorblind.
I
He
didn't know
said,
that.
yeah, he said, yeah, they showed all these things, and he said when he was in art development, they were saying, "Oh, we want this color, that color," and he said, "You people realize I'm colorblind, don't you?" He said, "He said it all looks black and white to me, or a little gray." And then they worked past that because they wanted him so bad, and they worked it out. But yeah, had a tremendous time with him, and just it like killed me here, last I think it was earlier this year or last year when I seen the news that he had passed. I mean, it
Mhm.
just like that, gone. And we've had so many greats taken from us here in the last few years.
That's true. That's true. It seemed, yeah, and they're aging. He wasn't that old, but some of them are definitely getting up there. But yeah, I hate to see that too. But you know, it just the ones that have been able to leave that legacy, you
Yeah,
know, good for them.
that's right. And hopefully we can leave that legacy one day. Maybe 50 years down the road, some little kid's gonna pick up Frogboy, and hey, it can happen, and that inspire them, just like we picked up these books and looked at these different things. 30, 40, 50 years down the road, they might pick up art and say, "Oh wow, that's really cool. I want to be an artist." and we can inspire generations the way Tim Sale and those guys did.
I hope
That's
so.
you leave. It'd be nice to leave something behind like that. Not just a legacy of family, but a legacy that'll reach past that and hit all young people.
I would love that. That's yeah, certainly a goal to, yeah, something to strive for sure.
So you were mentioning Heroes Con. Do you got any other cons planned this
Well,
next
we
coming year?
December 10th, I'll be at the Charlotte Comic Con, which is a great one-day show. They do it 3 times a year, and it's a nice it's a nice small show, and
Right.
they've been doing it a long, long time, and they're always really good to me as well. And so I get that coming up in December, and then in February there's Captain's Comics Expo, which is in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, which is the Charleston area, and I did that last year for the first time, and that's just wonderful. So Mike and his team with Captains, they do a really great uh, 2-day show down there in Mount Pleasant, and they've been doing that for years, and people love it. And then Heroes usually does a mini con. I'm not sure. That's usually in February too. And then we have a Matthews Comic Con, which is a small town just east of Charlotte. And we did the first ever Matthews Comic Con last year. And so we got that coming up March or April. I can't remember when, but I don't have a busy con schedule, but those are ones
That's a
that,
pretty busy con schedule.
well, most of
That's
them. I mean, the only one that I really travel for is the Charleston one, which is it's about 3 hours from here.
yeah,
So it's but it's really not like traveling. I mean, going to Charleston is such a pleasure to go down there. It's beautiful all around. The city of Charleston, the old town is fantastic, but Mount Pleasant, where the show is just a fantastic little river district and leading to the ocean. And
oh wow,
I mean, it's great. It's worth just the show is worth it because they're just so nice and they do such a good job. And
right,
there's fantastic artists down there in the Charleston area, and I've been able to make friends with some of them, and I'll look forward to doing that again and making the connections at shows with other artists and writers is just so much fun. Because then that you really it's kind of like the show. You really see how everybody's struggling kind of with the same thing. I want to make this, I want to make this story, I want to write the story, but here are my problems and here's where I'm struggling. And
right,
just being able to see what other people are doing and talk to them about it kind of helps, put everything in perspective as far as, everybody's beating themselves up a little bit. So just keep going.
right. And that's one of the main things. One of the main reasons I started this show. To kind of give back a little bit to the indie community what they had given me. I hadn't been in this, but let's say 2020, I jumped off into it with both feet, and just the people that I've met through these last few years, it's just been incredible. I mean, these are folks that I feel like I grew up with. It doesn't matter what time of day or night, I can reach out to them or they'll reach out to me. So many times you hit on it. You feel like you're on an island because we do. We live in our head 95% of the time when we're making these stories, and we feel like nobody's out there, that we're on our own, all, and you start beating yourself up. But, you know, we're not alone. And that's one of the main things I wanted to do with this show was get other people, other creators on here to kind of do just what we're doing right now. Tell about our problems, tell what we love about this industry, and just kind of put that spark in these and all creators, and let them know they're not alone
Sure.
and they can reach out. You know,
I love it, man. I love what you're doing.
I appreciate that. That means a lot, sir. It really does. And I really appreciate you coming on. It's such an honor to meet you. I love what you're doing. I can't. Hey, keep me posted on the book, the origin story, because I really want to jump on that
Well, I appreciate
and
that. I
get it.
think it's
But hey, I want a signed copy when I.
well, that's fantastic. Yeah, I would love to. It's a good story. It's the first time I've actually sat down and written the story. A lot of times I have an idea in mind and I just start drawing the pages and then I just let it go as it goes. But this one is a little bit more. I mean, the other ones were for fun. I just needed to get something out there to show everybody the here's what he's doing. He's in book form, but now let's put something that's got some, I don't know, some meat to it.
Right.
Something that people can, where they maybe can start identifying with his background and where he came from. And that's helping me too, because I didn't always know. I mean, I had a small idea of where he came from, but as I started writing it down, it makes a lot more sense even to me now. Um, so it's, and then I think if it works, from here on out, that's everything can be based on this idea of here's why he does what he does, and here's how it happened. With before he just this kid that's found $1 in the street and was fighting two other street kids for it so they could get some tacos because they were all hungry,
Right.
and then the other one was a little bit more in depth and introduced to some more of the supernatural aspects of the story. But this I'm really excited about this, and it may take me a little while to kind of get it finished, but I really want it to be, in my own mind, perfectionist. So it's
Aren't we all?
to meet the standard that I have for it.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I got three-quarters of the way into End of Days chapter one and scrapped the whole thing pretty much.
Yeah.
And I mean pages, all of it. And you know, it made me think of something, and I've brought this up multiple shows and I bring it up all the time. Mike Mignola, Hellboy. Um Mike Mignola, I read a story, I think it was in Wizard magazine, and he was talking about he had spent over a year trying to finish this one. I can't remember if it was a graphic novel or comic, but regardless, he'd spent over a year on it, and he finally he get halfway into it or three-quarters of the way into it, shred it. He said it just wasn't meeting what he wanted to see, and then he realized, he said, "Hey, this is all about speed." He said, "I'm not making any money while I'm waiting on this," and he said, "Sometimes good enough is good enough." And he,
Yeah.
you know, and he just went with it. And he finished the book in like less than a month after he got that mindset, and that's what we have to do sometimes, because you can get lost in your own head real quick. Like,
That's true.
sometimes good enough is good enough and you go with it.
Yeah, you're right, man. And my friend Todd, I became friends with Todd DeZago over the years through the show, and he's one of the people that told me that just I don't know. There's a term around something about George Lucas in the thing, and
Yeah.
um, and it's he goes just get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's tough though. I mean, we all face these things, and I tell you, but one thing we got to remember, we do have each other to reach out to. You know, that's like with my daughter. You know, if it doesn't pass her, you just what I'm saying is you got to find that one person that you really trust, because you can be too close to it. That's one reason I give it to her, because I might think it's the most awesome thing that's ever been created, and it might be hot garbage, you know. And I let her get a hold of it, and if she tells me it's good, it's good, and
that's
I go
good.
with it. But I promised I wouldn't hold you on here too long. It's such an honor to have you on the show today, John. It's such an honor to meet you. Uh, like I said, big fan of what you're doing. Keep me posted on the book. I can't wait to find out more about it and pick up a copy when you get through with it.
Well, dude, Jerry, I would definitely keep you posted, man. I appreciate that. And I definitely appreciate you having me on with this. It's nice to talk about it. Nice to meet you too, man. I can't wait to look at more of the end of day stuff as you're working on it.
Thank you, sir. That means a lot.
And I hope
Tell
hope to see you in Heroes, man.
Hey, I hope to be there. I really do, and we'll stay in touch on that. I'd love to get a table by you and us really sit down and chat. So tell everybody where they can follow you. Plug everything you need to plug, because I want. Hey, you guys, you need to go. You need to pick up his books. This man is brilliant. It's a brilliant story. Get Frog Boy. Tell them where they can get Frog Boy.
Well, right now, the place to follow is on Instagram. It's at Frogboy Official. You can follow me there. And I'm slowly starting to get back posting again because I've kind of just had my head down writing. And I haven't drawn a lot, but you go there. As the book gets more into it, I'll be posting little bits here and there. I mean, you can also come find me on Facebook. It's John Burgin. JOHNBURGIN. Just come be my friend there. It's fine. I'd love to see you. I post a bit there too. I don't do what used to be Tumblr very much or any other things. The last book was put out by a publisher in Toronto called New Friday. And if once I get this one done, hopefully it'll be available by New Friday Comics as well. And you'll be able to go on their website. And if you want to get the the last book, Punk Rock and Roller Derby, as well as the Taco Tuesday book, they're kind of together. You can go to the New Friday website and follow them on Instagram too at New Friday Comics. And you can find not just Frogboy, but several other nice indie books. But yeah, definitely at Frogboy Official. Come follow and along and say hi. And I'd love to meet everybody.
That's awesome, John. It's been a privilege, sir. I'm gonna let you go. Don't want to be responsible for you being late for your lady. I don't want to get in trouble.
Thanks, Jerry. I appreciate that.
Hey, you take care, buddy. Have a blessed day. Y'all have a wonderful evening. That's the show, folks. That's a wrap. Y'all take it easy. Until next time.
All right.